If you could describe exactly what Brave New Words did, like just the process.
Well, people submit, a call went out, and people submitted scripts, people from all over the province. And we would bring them in, and we'd hire an outside dramaturge or two, and and some actors, some local, a lot of them mostly from Halifax. And because we had a partnership with Playwrights Workshop Montreal at that time, and some funding from the Quebec-New Brunswick Cooperation Agreement, we often worked in partnership with Playwrights Workshop Montreal, and that brought people like Paula Dankert at the time, and Dina Aziz and Peter Smith here to work with us, and a wonderful actor named Marcel Janin, who I see on TV once in a while. I just love to see him. And another guy named Tim Post, I think was his name. So a lot of really good people came to work with us from Halifax, from here, from Montreal. And we'd do a reading, and then the dramaturge would go off and meet with the playwright and talk about changes they might or might not want to make and what the observations were. And then they'd come back usually for a second read. And a lot of these people were not really playwrights. It was their first time trying to write a play, a lot of people. So some people got more out of it than others. And then at the end, we would do, at the end we were doing it at the Black Box, we'd do readings. All the actors would be there, and, music stands, and we'd do reading selections, excerpts from each of the plays that had been workshopped. And there'd be we used to get a pretty good audience for that too.
Good,
yeah.
That
it was really exciting.
Yeah.
And we'd pick the best bits from each play, and we'd do them. It was really fun. And also, when I was artistic associate, I would travel, and when I was going to St. John and Moncton to teach, I would often meet with playwrights. There was one wonderful, wonderful playwright named Maurice Aubin from St. John, and he wrote the most wonderful, wacky, wonderful plays. And he's had a lot of productions, actually, in Ottawa, I think, and in St. John he had shows produced. And a guy named Tom MacArthur, who I think had some shows produced in St. John. And Tristis Baird, who's worked at the radio station, she wrote a couple of really fantastic pieces. I don't know that they ever got... Yeah, I'm not sure that they ever got produced, but I remember doing one, and Paula Wing and I were acting in it, and we were playing two parts of one person. It was chilling. It was fabulous. So there was some really wonderful work. And there's Wendy Hamilton, who was living in St. Andrews at the time. She then moved back to Ontario, but she was at our Playwrights Colony, the Park Playwrights Colony this year, which was really great to see her again. And her work had been done at she had one play called Mindlands, which was a one-person show about somebody being out of work in the Sault Ste. Marie, mill worker, iron worker, something, I don't know what it was, but anyway, it was really powerful. And I think Micheline Chevrier, who was at TMB, she then went and ran GCTC in Ottawa, and she, I think, produced it there, and maybe another one. So it's hard to remember everybody, but there are, people in and out. Linda McNutt had a play that she workshopped there that she then turned into a novel. And so, there were a lot of... Patrick Toner was there once. I don't remember the play, but it probably was about Alden Nolan, because he then wrote he was writing a biography. A lot of what you're doing a lot of the time with students, for instance, is you're not necessarily teaching people who are going to become actors or playwrights or directors or dramaturgists. You're often, in the long run, it turns out, what you're doing is educating future audience members. And I think in some ways, Brave New Words did a lot of different things, but to a certain extent, some people just learned a lot about playwriting and theater by taking part in it. And also, by doing that, workshop acting is not, funny that I ended up doing so much of it, but it's a skill. It's different from being on stage. And it's all about lifting words off a page without but lifting them off so that a playwright can hear what they've written as opposed to what you are putting into it, and it's a real skill.
Sure.
And a lot of people learned about workshop acting by taking part in Brave New Words, as they have at Playwrights Atlantic Resource Centre. And good workshop actors are not that not necessarily that easy to find.